today we have a couple of questions for you. Um, yeah. So let's start with why did you choose Microsoft? What made you think about Microsoft to build the managed security service to offer to the market?
All right, that's a really good question, Ryan. So there are a few compelling points, for us to choose Microsoft from a cybersecurity perspective. And one of the biggest significant reasons I think we choose Microsoft is Microsoft's strong commitment towards cybersecurity. Microsoft does significant investments in security. So Microsoft invests over $1 billion annually on security, right? You must have read. And Microsoft is powered by Microsoft as well, right? So what that really means is Microsoft uses their own hosted cloud and security solutions, right? So um, basically, Microsoft understands their own cloud much better, right? So from a security point of view, that adds a lot of points. And of course, looking at the world-class talent and expertise Microsoft has, the team of executive security advisors, a team of former CISOs, and so many, excellent people we talk to in the ecosystem of Microsoft. It's really great, right? Another, compelling reason, Ryan, we think is the Microsoft's, holistic approach, basically towards security, right? So I think they have a comprehensive platform. They cover identity and access management, Azure AD and Active Directory being at the core of it. Microsoft also covers threat protection against advanced threats, and also helps you recover, faster. They also cover information protection. That's extremely important with services like, Microsoft Information Protection, which was previously Azure Information Protection, and of course, endpoint DLP and cloud app security, right? And of course, the whole security management, the security posture management Microsoft brings in with their CSPM platform, which is Azure Security Center and even Cloud App Security Broker, and how Microsoft looks at the whole secure score, right? And I can talk a lot about Microsoft Intelligence, basically, which Microsoft brings in, right? So uh, Microsoft brings in a lot of security related signals in the backend, right? So I think Microsoft has updated over 1+ billion devices, if I'm not wrong, from a numbers perspective. And there are so many millions of authentication which happen in Azure Active Directory. So all that intelligence Microsoft has collected in the backend and brought in, AI and machine learning into both the XDR and the new Siemens SOC solution, which is Azure Sentinel, right? And of course, being a Microsoft partner, we love the broader partner ecosystem Microsoft has built, right? And excellent support from Microsoft's partner team, excellent support, from the global black belt teams, and there are so many teams which constantly support partners to ramp up. There are a lot of technology and technical, databases out there for my team to go and learn all about security and compliance, and there's so much more, right? And of course, we personally, as partners, love the Microsoft's mission to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more, right? And specifically ensuring about the data protection policies Microsoft really has, right? So yeah, so this can be some compelling reasons, Ryan. So for we choosing Microsoft as or we being the partners to Microsoft for cybersecurity.
Yeah. And thanks for your sharing. And then we have a great opportunity come from the market, right? And as we can see, so from your side, how successful that you think you are with the best practice that we build with Microsoft?
Yeah, Ryan. So if we look at the opportunities, right, there are a lot of opportunities, specifically after the pandemic, the COVID-19, we've seen there are so many every all the employees going and working remotely from home, which brings in a lot more different challenges, right? So having said that,
Right.
on the field, we get a lot of opportunities specifically around deployment services of M365, E5 security and compliance stack, as well. There's a lot of work, going around advisory and adoption services, right? So we've seen a lot of customers purchase M365, E5 security and other Azure security products, and we get a lot of opportunities on my consultants doing a lot of advisory to customers on how do we really deploy and adopt basically those services, what kind of automation we can do, etc. Right? And there's a huge opportunity, I think, from building your own IP, intellectual property, or you can call it a solution development perspective, right? So automation, I said, right? There's a huge opportunity there, and building a lot of innovation you can bring in into your security operations, right? And how do you help customers to do automation in responding to the security threats? So that's a huge opportunity, we feel, and we see a lot of customers looking at doing these kind of automations and improving their response time, and of course bringing in new cyber defense skills into the environment, right? So that's that solution development, IP building is another huge opportunity we're seeing. And of course, managed security services, Ryan, I think is one of the bigger asks from the customers. Not all customers might be running a 24 by 7 SOC today, but I think it's need of the hour, right? Even if it's not 24 by 7 operations, but we think that from a partner or a vendor or being a cybersecurity vendor perspective, and managed security services brings in a lot of opportunity for partners like us to go to customers and give that offering, right? So we give them a peace of mind. We have the skills, we can deploy and even monitor their environment and give them a good best in class cyber defense, basically, right? So again, we have seen a high demand in Microsoft XDR. We have seen a high demand in using Azure Sentinel as in a SIEM and SOAR solution. So if you combine XDR plus SOC, right, which we've seen lately as a very good practice for customers, it brings in a lot of value in terms of defending organizations from any kind of cyber threat and bringing in that 24 by 7 kind of vigilance in the environment. So yes,
Sure.
these are the whole opportunities when we see in the market today. Yeah.
Yeah. And when we have a lot of opportunity, I mean, there's a lot of work to do, and we serve a lot of like amount of customer, right? So how do you scale it? How do you scale your offer, your service, or team to adopt to serve the market?
Yeah, so from a scaling perspective, Ryan, we look at it from two aspects, right? So one is that scaling from a services perspective or a service perspective from the customer, right? And the second
Yep.
scaling, we look at it from our team, building the team perspective, right? So let me first talk about building the team. I mean, we have a lot of emphasis on ramping up technically. Cybersecurity is a very complex topic, and the solutions are very broader. Cybersecurity touches endpoints, it touches identity, domain controllers, it touches in the environment, it touches how do you access your third-party applications, shadow IT, single sign-on. It also touches your Azure resources, which is it can be resources running as virtual machines or PaaS resources, right? And then of course it now extends all the way to putting all these together and running it as a security operations center, and being vigilant, right? So with so many solutions, ramping up the team becomes very important, right? So we put a lot of stress on ramping up the team, right? That's number one, right? It's extremely important for us, for the team to have the right knowledge of the product, right? Microsoft gives us a lots of resources for ramping up. Microsoft Learn, and there's so much more out there. There are a lot of videos, there are a lot of content to consume, right? Um, and of course, we focus a lot on hiring the right skills and then training them in the right products, right? And it's so that helps us to immediately scale up faster in terms of building the team and giving more services to more customers in the region. That's number one. Um, Looking at what we love about the whole Microsoft ecosystem is that from a customer scaling perspective, right? So, there's a lot of scaling and adoption which happens on the cloud, right? So, because it's sitting on the cloud as the backend infrastructure, scaling up from the customers is really not a real challenge, right? Yes, of course, we need to pay a lot of attention. How do you adopt that service from a cybersecurity perspective? But yeah, sitting it on, I mean, all the solutions sitting on the cloud really makes it, all the more scalable, even for the customer's perspective. Now, when I say scalable, right,
Sure.
onboarding of a lot of the endpoint devices, let's say, right? It can be thousands of devices onboarding to EDR solution as an example, right? Quickly onboarding applications for on Azure AD for single sign-on and putting conditional access and even if I talk about monitoring cloud apps, so you can go to cloud app security and start monitoring all so much more applications, right? Either it can be custom applications, and Microsoft has a long list of third-party applications, which Microsoft supports out of the box in CASB, and I can cut across all the way to scaling up services on Azure, and of course pushing all these alerts and incidents into Azure Sentinel. Again, Sentinel is one of the a very unique a cloud-only serverless Siemens source solution. So scaling up there from a services perspective, again, it's really fast, and that's what we love about the whole platform, right? Yeah.
Sure. Sure. And then we talk a lot about the way that you succeed, and then you bring in the market a great opportunity and with your service, right? So can you show us your offer, how it's looked like, and remember that when we talking about the CISO security dashboard is so excited, right? So can you share as well?
Sure, right. So, absolutely. In the recent past, we have been doing a lot of M365, security deployments at customers. We've also done a lot of significant Azure Security Center deployments for customers, for virtual machines and PaaS services. And like I said earlier, right, bringing in the 24 by 7 security operations service is need of the hour, right? And that's why we have come up with our own 24 by 7 managed detection and response service, which purely runs on Azure Sentinel, right? We have a 24 by 7 operations with level 1 security analysts, which look at the incidents if they are high critical all the time. We also give advanced services, like we go ahead and do advanced hunting services for customers, to help them see if there are any anomalies or any attacks happening in the environment. We do that very regularly. Again, because Azure Sentinel is aligned to the MITRE attack framework, um, and Azure Sentinel gives you a lot of built-in analytics queries. It helps us a lot to onboard the customers to our MDR service really quickly, right? There is a lot of quick integration with M365 E5 with Azure Sentinel, right? So it's the connectors are already built, and that gives us again a great opportunity to help customers, onboard to Azure Sentinel quickly, and help us to start monitoring and giving them a 24 by 7 cyber defense service, right? So that's one of our significant offerings we have brought in in the past, and we have seen a lot of interest from customers. We've also onboarded customers onto the 24 by 7 or managed security services now on Azure Sentinel and XDR as a combination, right? Now, having said that, like I said, customers demand a single pane of glass today, right? So customers might have a lot of third-party services. Customers might be using multi-cloud, right? And most of the customers, enterprise customers, we reach out to have some workloads running on Azure, some workloads running on Amazon Web Services. They might have some other third-party, security solution or threat and vulnerability managed solution and so on and so forth, right? And that's where we started to take a journey and built a CISO dashboard where a CISO and the CISO team, the management team can have a single pane of glass for looking at all the services together, right? Now, having said that, right, so let me really quickly share my screen, Ryan, and show you how the service really looks like, right? So just give me 1 minute.
Sure, sure.
So give me just 1 minute so that I can share my screen. So what we've done while I open this on the screen here, Ryan, what we have done is we have built our own web platform which integrates with a lot of APIs in the backend, right? So for an example, we have integrated with the Azure Sentinel API. We've integrated with Microsoft's Graph API, which brings in a lot of information from the Microsoft security products in the backend, right? So that's what we have done. From a technology perspective, we have actually um, from a technology perspective, we are running it on an Azure Kubernetes service in the backend. And it runs purely on the customer environment, and we don't take any of the security data out of there, right? So let me quickly share my screen, Brian, so you can see how the dashboard really looks like. Okay, so this is how our dashboard looks like, right? So I need to check why it's not picking up the Microsoft Secure Score, but what we've done is we've started bringing all that security score, like the hybrid secure score, the users legacy authentication, the exposure score we take from threat and vulnerability management, which is part of Microsoft's endpoint protection, which is the EDR solution. We also bring in all the alerts information, from the backend using the backend API. We also integrate with Microsoft Intune and show customers their device inventory. We also show, what the CVSS score is and how many of their devices are, what is the percentage of devices, have a high or critical CVSS score they should, pay attention to. We also use, Azure AD password protection for password compliance. Of course, this is a good news that we have 0 weak passwords, but we help enterprise organizations, identify how many users have, weak passwords in the environment before they go ahead and implement Azure AD password protection, feature, and have or push users towards having a very strict, complex password, right? Of course, we do a lot on software inventory for customers. And then we also show some number of attacks, number of incidents in the environment, and of course, we show information from Azure AD on the high risky users, and high risky sign-ins. All this information comes from the backend Azure AD APIs, right? So of course, it's a demo environment, so you don't see that real-time data, but you can still see a few users, as risky here, right? Apart from we integrating with Microsoft, we also integrate with the backend Amazon Web Services. Like I said, a lot of customers have multi-tenant, cloud hosting environment. So we integrate with AWS Security Hub, and we show customers what their AWS Secure Score is, what are the standards they're using in the AWS Secure Score, and yeah, what are the past findings and so on and so forth, right? And of course, we also give a secure score trend, for the users, right? So that's also important to note, right? And now from we also do a lot of incident management for customers, and we're really keen to integrate the platform with multiple SIEM solutions. Right now, if you see, all this information comes from Azure Sentinel itself, but typically users or organizations have multiple SIEM solutions. Like they might have Splunk or QRadar or LogRhythm or something else in the environment, and they might be in a hybrid situation where they are using Sentinel for some services, and maybe Splunk for some on-prem services and so on, right? So that's our journey. We are bringing in more dashboards, for the customers to look at their incident management, right? So again, you can see trends of data. You can see data for the last 3 months, a month, and then if you have more data, we can keep going, and showing you data for the last 6 months, 1 year, and so on and so forth, which goes on for a lot of widgets, which you see here, right? So yeah, these are the kind of IPs we are bringing in, and CISO dashboard aligns to our strategy of providing customers a good visibility into their cyber defense, and that's where you know and that's where we combine this with the CISO dashboard, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's great. So thanks for sharing all the great things, an offer and an IP that you build with Microsoft technology and help the customer to achieve more. So so thank you so much, and
All right,
looking
Ryan.
forward to work with you and the teams on more and more opportunity. Thanks. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Ryan. You too.